Hi, my name is Marian. I'm from the blog Miss Mustard Seed, and this is the final installment of the French chair upholstery video series. We have done all of the upholstery, we've painted the frame, we distressed it, waxed it, and of course we stripped off the old upholstery. We also added a little bit of batting to the seat just to give it some comfort, and now we need to put on the finishing detail, which is some trim. A lot of people have asked me about this part of upholstery. How do you attach that trim? Like, it seems like you should have some, mysterious upholstery trick, and there is one, but it's not as, mysterious as you think it would be. It's a glue gun. You just attach the trim with a glue gun. And I think glue guns sometimes get a bad rap because they're used for little crafts and things. But glue actually does, or hot glue does an amazing job at holding fabric. I have rarely had a piece of trim come loose, and usually it's because it's just been used a lot, or it's been sort of pulled on by a little kid or something. One of my little kids. But anyway, so yeah, we just are going to use, this trim is called gimp trim, and this particular style is called French gimp trim. So this is what we're going to use to glue along the edge of the fabric and along the staples. So this is why it's important for your staples to be in a nice and straight line, to not be very far away from the edge, because as you're applying the trim, you want it to cover the raw edges of the fabric and the staples, so there's a nice clean transition between the fabric and the frame. So we're going to apply the trim all around the arms, the back, and also the seat. So I'll start on the seat. Now, I'm not going to start right in the middle here because I don't want the seam to be square in the front of the chair. So I'm going to turn the chair here, and we'll sort of hide it somewhere in the back. Now, it's a little hairy, so I'm going to trim it down so that I have a nice clean edge to work with. And it will start to fray almost right away. So I'm going to apply some hot glue, just about an inch, and press down the end into the glue. That's sort of going to keep it from fraying. And then I'm going to push it into place. Now, it is really simple to apply this trim, but you do want to keep in mind, first of all, you want to try to keep the squeeze out to a minimum. You don't want a bunch of hot glue squeezing out onto the frame and onto the fabric as well. So you want to apply just kind of a moderate amount, not too much, and apply it in a nice line along the staples. Like this. And work in small sections, like of maybe just a few inches. And then when you press in the trim, press it in just very gently so you don't end up with glue squirting out all over the place. Now, I have no fingerprints because I have worked with glue guns so many times and have been burned. You can use like the end of a pen or pencil, or maybe the end of a crochet needle or something to push in the trim if your fingers aren't quite as calloused as mine are. Okay, so I'm gluing it along. I'm going to do this along the entire chair. If you do get a little bit of squeeze out, like I just got a little bit there, it's not too big of a deal. You can just sort of pull it away once it's dried. Now, when I'm going around the arms, there are a couple different ways you could do it. First of all, some people just let the trim continue to go across like this, so it'll cover some of the wood. I prefer to have it go up and around the arm, and then it covers if I've had to put a staple in or anything, it covers that. So that's what I'm going to do back here. I'm going to let the trim sort of ride up the back side here, and I'm going to push it in so it's nice and tight. Send my spool through. And I don't need to put a lot of glue there. I'm actually not going to put any. I'm just going to pull it tight and continue to glue it down the back here. And sometimes, especially if you're pulling down around a leg or something, you might need to hold it for just a minute to let the glue cool, and so it dries. And then you can come back and sort of pull away the excess. Now, some trims can be applied with tacks. You might find like a little tack every once in a while, but in just about every piece I've pulled apart, glue has been used to hold the trim in place. So this isn't a shortcut or anything. This is a legitimate way to do it, but it's easy too. And as we were talking about in our last segment, this, makes this chair no-sew really easy to put together. Just a little time consuming. So I'm going to go around the entire length of the chair this way. And I'll show you what I do when the edges meet. I've glued the trim all around the chair, and now we have where the ends meet. And again, this is something I get asked about a lot. How do you get the ends to meet so it doesn't look messy? So I already have this end. I had put a pretty generous amount of glue there so that this edge would really, any of the frayed edges would really stick into the glue. So I'm not dealing with, a fuzzy frayed edge. And then I'm going to cut this piece a little bit longer than what I need, just a little bit. And that's just to give me a little bit of room to play with. Because as soon as I cut it, it starts to sort of fray. All right, I need to cut off just a little bit more. And I'm sort of holding it together so it doesn't fray. I'm going to put in hot glue and then add a little more hot glue where the edges meet. And I'm kind of pushing the ends together and then pressing this piece in and tucking the edges into the glue like that. And once it's done, you really can't find the seam. And it dried super quick. And there we go.